of knowing in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, where you did his post-graduation in medicine and
Dr. Reddy, it was an honor to meet you. In fact, you are one of the persons I admire the most since my postgraduate days. Thank you. Good afternoon, friends. I think there are more leaky issues which people are addressing outside than the leaky gut. So possibly after those are addressed, they will join back. May I have my current movement, quasi science, and there's a lot of it is in the realm of possibilities that it is there, and it causes plethora of physical ailments which I'll allude to, but there is very little clinical evidence and scientific data to support that this entity actually exists, and even if it exists, it does lead to those, human gastrointestinal tract is exposed to, load of material. When you eat food, you have various types of materials, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, and along with that you also swallow bacteria, viruses, and fungi and various chemicals. And in today's world, when we are inundated with all these chemicals of pesticides and all, you also ingest those. So, this particular organ is, apart from the skin, gets exposed to possibly the maximum number of, harmful agents. But the good thing is that intestinal lining is a very intelligent lining. It lets in useful substances. They get absorbed, they go into the bloodstream and fulfill the purpose for which it is there. But there are certain factors, including stress, unhealthy diet, excessive alcohol, and antibiotics and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. These are the painkillers many of you take indiscriminately. That leads to injury to this particular lining, and this barrier gets compromised, and then it causes increased leakiness of the intestinal barrier. Leaky gut allows then entry of the harmful agents, which it is not supposed to let into the bloodstream, and that affects various organs. And this barrier dysfunction is associated with intestinal diseases, which are very objective, which exist, which there is scientific data, like inflammatory bowel disease, that ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, particularly diarrhea predominant, and celiac disease, which is due to gluten hypersensitivity. But it is also associated with many extraintestinal diseases, like heart disease, obesity, type 1 diabetes mellitus. I will talk about many others, about which we have positive scientific data, particularly about the cause and effect relationship. And there are many myths, and I'll try to sort them out. There is much folklore and resurgence of interest in leaky gut. In fact, you meet any nutritionist, you meet any nutraceutical person, you meet doctors, and you meet various firmly in their belief that this does lead to disease entities. And popular perception is that leaky gut is like a wall where there's a door, and you kick open the door, and that lets the entry of multiple harmful agents, and this leads to increased permeability and consequent access to bloodstream of many chemicals, insect bacteria, and host of dietary and microbial components. Assumption of this is as primary abnormality is in various diseases which are diverse, like food intolerance, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and autism even. The intestine is supposed to serve this purpose, that the food goes in and it gets absorbed, So this is what the intestinal lining is. This is the lumen. And through various pathways of diffusion or active transport, through the lining of the intestine, these food materials and useful substances get to the other side of the lining and ultimately to the bloodstream, which is where it serves a useful purpose. What is this intestinal barrier? To understand what leads to its leaking, it's not a single wall with a door, it is a process. And it starts with even the gastric acid, bile juices, pancreatic secretions, which not only digest the food, they also emulsify and denature the bacteria and viruses which we ingest or fungi, and various active antigens or harmful substances which are or chemicals which are ingested. Then there are commensal bacteria. Commensal bacteria, with the bacteria which are present in your intestine are your friends who have, they are like your pet dogs or pets in your home, and they are there and they prevent the stray dogs coming in, so they do not let the harmful bacteria colonize the intestine. Then there is a microclimate on the lining of the intestine, which we call microclimate, and it is made of mucus layer. And mucus layer is like a thick, sticky solution on the lining of the intestine. It prevents bacteria, because bacteria have to stick to the wall to enter. But it prevents them from sticking, not only by physical barrier, but also because they secrete an antibody, IgA, which is a respiratory antibody, which cement, and they do not let the seepage happen. Similarly, the cells of the intestine are stuck to each other, but they are not like inert like bricks. They are active substances which let the useful substances go in, but shut the door when a harmful thing is to enter. So then, even if there is something enters there, there are these Paneth cells, which are like the sentry on the top of the watchtower has the guns. So this has defensins, which are chemical substances which are secreted, and these denature any bacterial products which enter the intestinal epithelium. That there is this intestinal lining which is full of these commensal bacteria which line the mucus. Then the mucus which has got IgA secretion, and it is a sticky layer which prevents it. And then these are the tight junctions these are the cells which prevent it from entrance. And if they enter, there are various immune cells which neutralize these harmful substances. And if you look at the tight junctions, you see this is how normally the intestinal cells are, holding hands together, so not letting anything enter. But then there are certain substances, and then not only these loosen the junctions, then these junctions get separated, and now it's like an open gateway for entry of the harmful substances. And then this starts immune cascade, and then the injury to the intestinal wall, which leads to certain intestinal diseases. So, in spite of a strong barrier, some harmful substances will always get through. Microbiota. That microbiota is what the bacteria which are present in your intestine. You have more than 100 trillion bacteria, almost weighing 1.5 kilos in your intestinal tract. So we are actually teeming with these bacteria, and these bacteria are both useful bacteria and the harmful bacteria. As long as the balance in your intestinal system is towards the more good bacteria than the harmful bacteria, you will remain healthy. And this microbiome not only affects the intestinal health, it also affects the your immune system, and it is known that it will affect practically all your systems of your body. And these can either, there are certain bacteria like Bifidobacterium, like Lactobacilli, various species which affect these intestinal bacteria and create more bad bacteria, useful bacteria in your intestinal tract and lead to ill health. Alcohol is another substance which is, that alcohol, that acute stress. The stress, whether it is in terms of the physical stress of marathon running, the long skiing and all, This can also cause effect on the intestinal barrier and can cause leaky gut. Even it's known that babies born to mothers who are stressed in the preterm period have different bacterial population in their gut and are prone to anxiety and depression subsequently. This is the microbial composition and function of the gut. And the diet which is rich in carbs and the fats, which is what the modern Western diet is, causes significant effect on the gut intestinal barrier, and it causes damage to it, produces leaky gut, implicated in increased intestinal permeability and dysfunction of the tight junctions. And these are main culprits today which lead to weakening of the gut barrier. Emulsifiers in the food, we don't even realize. Outside everybody was telling me, why don't you eat the blueberry ice cream? Very delicious. Now, what makes the ice cream so, so creamy? You have to add emulsifiers, because when you have to combine water with lipid, you need to put in a substance which can make it. These are very important. I will just touch on that again. Then there are certain good things in your diet. These galacto-oligosaccharides, what are these? These are present in beans, chickpeas, so hummus is good, and the peas. So these are the things which have got these galacto-oligosaccharides, which are beneficial for the intestinal barrier. And then dietary fiber is one of the main things which has been shown to help in improving the gut intestinal barrier. What about the emulsifiers? Whenever you have to mix two substances which very different surface tension, like oil and water, you need something to make an emulsion, and you need a substance which is emulsified, make it into a homogenized substance. And these are food additives, preventing liquids from normally don't mix up on they don't let the material separate out. If you do not have an emulsifier in a chocolate, your chocolate in the room temperature will have a white surface. You will find at times, the poor quality chocolates, which so-called poor quality chocolates, have a whitish coating after some time of storage. But emulsifiers prevent that. They also give texture to the various type of foods, and commonly used in breads, chocolates, ice cream, processed meats like sausages and margarine. And these emulsifiers not only emulsify the fat in the food, they also emulsify the mucous membrane. So they also lead to significant damage of the intestinal barrier. Yes. For leaky gut are refined sugars, dairy, gluten, medications, environmental toxin, and infection. Aggressive endurance exercises like biking challenge, running challenge, they have been studied scientifically, and they have been shown that you can measure the worsening of the gut permeability after these exercises. So is with the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and particularly in late pregnancy. That while we talk that this is causing leaky gut, this is not causing, the instruments with which we can measure whether a substance is creating leaky gut is non-existent. There are oral saccharide probes that you give certain substances and try. These are associated with leaky gut. Whether leaky gut causes them, we do not know, because there is no evidence that leaky gut causes it, but the leaky gut exists with these diseases. And these I have listed here. And non-intestinal diseases, these are the ones which there is total lack of scientific data, but a lot of interest in them: asthma, autism, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, eczema, psoriasis, and a whole lot of diseases, including non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and alcoholic liver disease, rheumatoid arthritis, pancreatitis. People believe that they are also caused by the leaky gut. The research at present is in treating the intestinal permeability is mostly based on avoidance of high amount of sugars and fats. If you avoid sugars and fats in your diet, you can prevent the leaky gut. FODMAP diets, I think most of you are familiar with it. These are fermentable oligodisaccharides and monosaccharides and polyols. And if you take FODMAP diets, the leaky gut can repair. Certain substances like glutamine, short-chain fatty acids, and quercetin. Quercetin is present in, the blueberries, citrus fruits, apple, olive oil, grapes, like all dark berries have quercetin, and this helps in repair of the leaky gut. Then there are certain vitamins A, D, and zinc are supposed to help in improvement of leaky gut. So these are the substances, short-chain fatty acids or lacto-oligosaccharides. I'm just really containing various species of lactobacilli and bifidobacterium or Saccharomyces boulardii. Then you can actually improve the intestinal barrier function. And as I told you, at present we think that there are a whole lot of diseases which may be linked with leaky gut, but we need to produce data apart from this group of diseases which we are very certain about. Rest are all still need to be established whether they are related to leaky gut. So friends, to summarize, there is a resurgence of interest in the intestinal barrier damage by certain nutrients and stress leading to leaky gut syndrome. And this is we attribute the multitude of clinical conditions to this leaky gut. Diets rich in sugar, fat, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, alcohol, and emulsifiers in your food cause leaky gut, while there is significant scientific evidence of increased permeability in IBD, and such evidence is lacking in non-intestinal diseases. Unfortunately, probiotics, FODMAP diets less low on sugar and fats, lacto-oligosaccharide-rich diets, fiber, glutamine, and quercetin, vitamin A, D, and zinc possibly will help you prevent leaky gut or repair leaky gut. Thank you very much for patiently.
Pulmonologist and also the principal director and head of Max Hospitals. With him, I would like to welcome Dr. Chandrakant Laharia, who's a consulting physician.
For those kind words of introduction, and thank you, Rishi, for inviting me here. I think it's indeed a proud moment to be a part of this. I would call a revolution that we are creating by talking about all these things which are hardly spoken. Believe me, leaky gut, what we're going to discuss next.